Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is YAHMAD. So in this video, we're going to be looking at if error part 2. And if you check out the previous video, we've looked at if error part 1. So why do we use the if error? So the if error is used to trap any errors. And rather than returning an error message, we can return a blank cell in two speech marks. So we can use two speech marks to return a blank cell, or we can write something in the speech marks to return a particular output. So in this example here, guys, what the if error does is it checks to see if this value creates an error. So 2 plus a would create an error. It's not going to work. It's not going to add. And if it's true, it's going to output whatever you have in the speech marks. Okay, so now in this video, it's about to get a little bit more complicated using the if error. So what we need to do is we need to use a H lookup and a mid function to look up the club using the array below. Okay, so we're going to be using the red numbers here. So 3, 3, 1, 2, 5 to look up the clubs. And then we're going to be outputting the values below. Here, this cell here is going to produce an error because we only go up to 5 clubs. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is where we are expecting to see the error message. But if we're using if error, we can just return a blank cell. Also, what we need to use is a value function because when we extract these values, we need to convert it back into an integer. So why would we use a value function? Let me just type it in. It converts a text string that represents a number to a number. So when we extract this, we need to convert it back into a number so that it can match up with these values here. Okay, so let's start by typing in HLOOKUP. What do we want to look up? We want to look up these values here, which needs to be converted into a value. We then need to use a mid function to extract from the middle of the cell. You need to click on this cell now and identify the starting position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 2. Close the bracket again. The table array is going to be this table array here. Let's lock it. Comma. The row is going to be the second row because this is where we have the clubs that we want to output and the exact match. Close the bracket, enter. So we should expect to see an error message here. Yes. So now what we can do is we can use if error, comma, and if there is an error, we can just return a blank cell. Close the bracket, let's drag this down, and the error message has now disappeared. Okay guys, this is now about to get a little bit more complicated. We now need to find the player, and we need to use a VLOOKUP with a match function for the column index to work out the player name. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Okay, we're going to use the player code. So the purple numbers are going to refer to these numbers here. These numbers only go up to 11. And we have some purple numbers that go beyond 11. So this is where we probably will get the error messages appearing. And also for this one here, because this code, the club goes beyond 5. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated. Right, in this question here, we need to use the match function to work out the column index. Now, the match function I haven't gone through yet, and I will go through in a later video. You can see lesson 12. But let's give it a go anyway. So let's try and do it in this video, part 2. And I'm going to use a match function here. So remember, guys, we need to get the player. So we're going to be highlighting from here to here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns that we're going to be highlighting. So if we want to refer to this cell, it's going to be +1 pretty much. Okay, so how this is going to work is, let me use a match function first, and this is going to be used for the column index. So let's type in equals match. And the lookup value is going to come from here. So we want to match these red numbers again with here, okay, this table. So value, mid, this text, It's going to be 4 and 2 again, so the fourth value and 2 values long. Close the bracket, close the bracket. The lookup array is just going to be one row. We can lock this, comma, exact match. So this is going to be used for the column index. So what we should expect to see here is column 2. So we should get, oh, not column 2. We got 4. Why is it 4? Let me double check. So this is Arsenal. So if I double click in here, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So Arsenal's in the 4th column. Okay, so it's matched up with this. So remember, we're counting from this column 1, 2, 3, 4. This value here is matched up to here, which is in the 4th column. So we've just outputted 4. If I change the cell C4 to C6, then we should see 2, because it matches up to this one here now. So this one, C6, matches up to this, which is going to be the 2nd column. Okay, we will go through the match function. You know what, let's leave it there. Later in another video, but let's try and do this question now. So equals VLOOKUP now. Okay, so we want to extract the purple values. So we need to convert it back into a number. So use value, use mid. Click on this cell here. And we're going to start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters in, 2 characters long. Close a bracket, comma. The table array is going to be from the player number, and it's going to go all the way across to the last club. So let's highlight all the players up to the last column here, comma. And then for the column index, how do we find out which column we need to look at? Okay, so we're basically looking up this value here, 0.5, which is going to bring us to this row here. But then we need to know, is it for Manchester United or Manchester City or for Arsenal? Which player do we want to extract? So just looking at the code here, guys, it's going to be 0.3. So we want to extract if I go down here, so the 5th player code, and it's going to be from Arsenal because we got 0.3 here. So again, we're going to use a match function. So it is getting a little bit complicated, but let's go ahead and try. So match. What do we want to look up? So we want to type in value again. Type in mid because we want to extract some values. You click on this cell here, comma. We want to look at the red numbers now, which refer to the clubs. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2. Close the bracket, comma. And what do we want to match up to? It's going to be from this cell to this cell here. You can see this corresponds with this table. Let's lock it, comma, exact match. Close the bracket, comma, and then we want the exact match again. Close the bracket, and let's see if we get Theo Walcott. Yes. So there is going to be some error messages in a moment, okay? Because we don't have 13 numbers, we just go up to 11. Yeah. Let's see this one here, 13, and then we didn't have this cell because we only go up to 5 clubs. So the next one, just before we put an if error in, is Santi Gonzola. So Santi Gonzola, his player number is 6. So let's just go down to 6. So we go to this row here, and he plays for the 3rd club, which is Arsenal. Yeah, so we get Santi Gonzola. Let's look at the next example here, Marcus Rojo. So he plays for the 1st club, so Manchester United, and his player number is 5. So that's why we got that one there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is use the if error to avoid seeing those errors. So let's type in here if error. So this is the whole value now, and comma, and let's just return a speech mark, 2 speech marks to return a blank cell, and enter. Let's drag this down, and you can see all of those error messages have now disappeared. So guys, if you didn't get the match function in this video, I will be going through the match function in another video. The if error is used to avoid any error messages. So we can return a blank cell or something specific depending what you write in these speech marks here. So maybe you can put EM, for example, which would say error message. Okay, or we can just return a blank cell, just get rid of that. There we go. Okay, guys, thank you for your time. Hopefully this makes sense. Please drop your comments below. Thanks again. Bye-bye.